Well, hey everyone. I am absolutely delighted to have Tim and Kendall here with me in different parts of the world than here in the Netherlands. Yeah. Hey guys, great to see you both and
Morning.
thanks
Hey,
for
good to see
joining.
you.
Yeah, we were talking before we started the actual recording how many people who are now in ICL obviously haven't necessarily been in the church that long. So perhaps you could both just say a little bit about yourselves, where you are, what you're doing, anything else you want to say. Yeah, who wants to go first? Tim, go first. There we go.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to be
yeah,
super polite.
yeah.
So, so,
Hi, ICL. Yes, thanks, Andy. This is great. It's just good to be a part of this. And Marquita and I and our three sons were at ICL for many years, and Marquita and I are now planting the International Church of Curacao. So we're in the Dutch Caribbean. The three boys are back in America. They all three live in Texas. And James is married, and we've got three granddaughters. And Andrew is married, and we have two granddaughters there. And Michael is taking applications. So so they're all doing well, and there's yeah. So we are finding that church planting has been what we've always been about, and we're still doing that. And
yeah,
excited to be a part of this today.
yeah, wonderful. And the official launch is next month, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, official
So
for next
yeah,
year.
yeah. And you said a bit earlier that there's some other people who used to be in ICL who are coming along to the services. So that's
Yes,
cool. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, wonderful. And hey, Kendall. So
Hello.
yeah.
Hello, Andy. Hello,
Hey,
ICL.
hi.
My name is Kendall Reavis, and my wife Christy and I were a part of this original group that kicked off things so many 20 years ago. We have four children. So Andrew, Callie, Katja, and Case. You can guess which two came from our time in the Netherlands by their name. So we live in Texas now, and I am working with church planting and another ministry initiative called Dwell. And Christy is a nurse and soon to be a nurse practitioner. She's finishing up her nurse practitioner program. And
Wonderful.
so, yeah, and we often think of you guys and think of with fond memories of our time in the Netherlands, and so happy to see, Andy, that you and Helen and that ICL, that you guys keep going, and that the ministry continues on after 20 years. So it's fun to look back, but it's also exciting to see where you're at and where you
Yeah,
continue.
yeah, absolutely. Well, lots of very precious and fond memories of you all being here, and yeah, and sad that other people didn't get to experience you all being here. But hey, let me just see if I can share this a couple of photos a moment. So um those who are watching, you may recognize the street. I did a little video outside here um a couple of weeks ago, put in the app. This is the street, the home where ICL began in Leiden. And then on the other side are a couple of bunch of suspects. Who might they be? No, it's the photo you sent me the other day, Kendall. And so these two families. So yeah, just for the sake of lots of people who maybe don't know, how is it that with these two families you ended up um helping to start an international church in the Leiden area? What were you doing here? And yeah, why an international church and all that kind of stuff? Let me stop the share. So um,
Tim, you were
Well,
there first, so why don't
yeah,
you go ahead and start the
I
story?
think, yeah, I think the thing for us, we were in America, and we felt called to go and work and plant churches somewhere else in the world, and the Netherlands was kind of put on our hearts, and we didn't know anything about the Netherlands. We didn't really know anybody, so we went, and we ended up at Leiden because Leiden had an international school for the children, and it
mm,
had the language school at the Dutch Studies program at the University of Leiden. So we said,
Yeah.
well, there's the two things we need, and that's why we ended up there. At first, we worked in a church plant in The Hague for a couple of years and some others, but it was about after the 4-year mark, we felt, okay, it's time to do something here in Leiden. And so one of the first people I called was Kendall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my reason for being there, yeah, you're looking at Tim. That's a lot of the reason we were there. But at the time, Christy and I were serving as missionaries in the nation of Honduras, and we knew Tim and Marquita were headed to the Netherlands. Excited for them, and but when we were in Honduras, we began to meet. We met like 3 or 4 Dutch people, and it's like, I
Right.
don't know many
Yeah.
Dutch people are running around Honduras, but God kept bringing them to our door. And Christy actually, yeah, with all of them, we got to minister and connect, and as we talked about, yeah, what was going on in the Netherlands, God just began to stir our hearts,
Mm.
and so we signed up and made our way from Honduras back to Texas, and then eventually to the Netherlands.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. And so you're here as two families in the Netherlands, um, where most people call speak Dutch. And so a lot of church plant initiatives are going to be in Dutch. Um, and yet they're in that house in Leiderdorp, in a very quite Dutch neighborhood, of course there are other internationals living in that area. You start something in English. Yeah, what was going on there then? So,
Well, I think for us, we got with Kendall and Christy on, the kids would all go to school. I believe it was Tuesdays or Thursdays.
Yeah.
We would meet and we would pray together, and we did that for about 6 months or so, and just say, God, what are we doing here? Because I wish I could tell you we knew exactly what we were doing, but it was more like a young couple, with a new baby. You've got the baby.
yeah.
Now what do you just figure it out as you go along. But one of the things that we did early, I don't know if Kendall remembers this. It was a meeting, and just at the end of it, we'd been praying, and the thought occurred. So we asked, if you could have the perfect church, what would it look like? Come back next week and tell us what it would be. Use only one word to describe it.
Right. Okay. I know where you're going to go. Please carry on.
And so
yeah.
we came back the next week, and I really found excited. Kendall, do you remember what Christy said?
Was hers family? I'm not sure.
Christy said family, and you said it would be authentic. It would be real.
Yeah.
And then Marquita said it would be simple, and I said it would be passionate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so from that moment, we knew that those 4 words were going to be the guiding principles of everything we're going to do.
Yeah.
And and so we didn't know what else to do other than just start. So and somewhere in there, I got an email about a guy named Frank Bowens, who said he was married from Barcelona, who was marrying a lady out of Heemstede, I think.
Yeah.
And he was looking for something to do. So he was a church planner. So Kendall and I, remember that, Kendall? We drove to Barcelona to get
we did. And we picked up Frank. But actually, when you say, Andy, you asked the question, why did we choose to do it in English? It was interesting. Both Tim and I were wrestling with, okay, we've got to do this bilingual. We have to translate this. And Frank was the one who pulled up to the table. The Dutch guy pulled up to the table and said,
it's got to be in English. Yeah.
Got to be in English.
Yeah. He mentioned that in his video. He mentioned that in the little video he did. So, yeah.
And so I thought it was just, it's a little ironic, but Frank was the one who said, let's do this in English. And yeah, it was, once we kind of settled in on that, and began to plan that way and strategically work that way, and then we began to see, the response, and in a way it became, I believe it became a unique quality and of the church, and I really see God used it to minister both to internationals and many Dutch people. So it's
Yeah,
been.
yeah, yeah. Last Sunday we had a little video. People who were there, you might remember, if you saw the service online, from Ryan and Hanneke, who now live in Canada.
Yeah.
Uh, Ryan's Canadian, but Hanneke is Dutch, and she reflected on joining when the church had moved to the Holiday Inn, what was the Holiday Inn, now the ECC. And yeah, just for her as someone who was Dutch, feeling quite envisioned by this idea of an international church. And lovely that you mentioned real family, simple passion, because yeah, to anyone listening, you might just recognize those as ICL's core values. Here we are 20 years on, they're still ICL's core values, and they still serve well. And so, yeah, do you have any other memories of the early days, either in the house or when you moved to the Holiday Inn? We'd have one or two people still in ICL who were in the Holiday Inn, but we haven't got anyone from the house days. So, yeah.
I remember we had the Dutch house that had a big front window, and I remember every Sunday in that first couple months, looking up and down the street, wondering who's going to come today. I tell people that's how you know you're a church planter, when you're looking up and down the street, wondering who's going to come today.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But I remember that Sunday when somebody with a bicycle pulled up and parked their bike right in front of the window, and we could see it, and we didn't know who she was, and she came in, and it was a Leiden University student, and she would have been the first one. And so from that early day, students have always been a part of ICL.
Yeah, wonderful. So that one student who came, and now we have
the next week she brought
yeah.
three people with her. Now there's three, and it just
yeah. And it grew, and it kind of grew like that, didn't it? So you couldn't stay in the house that much longer, not without driving Marquita totally bonkers. So so then into the Holiday Inn. So yeah.
And it was kind of a new thing, but Kendall was really people said, well, you're going to put out flyers, or you're going to put out advertising and all that. And Kendall was the one that basically put the website together. And the website, and that was a kind of a new way of doing it back in 2004. And from Kendall's website, almost everybody said they came either word of mouth or the website. That was our bulletin board.
That became our virtual gathering place, right? Because we were mobile, right? With everything. Well, something else we learned, Andy, early on, when we went to the Holiday Inn, and we began to grow there at the hotel, but we realized you cannot plant a church in the Netherlands without coffee. And so, and when we were at the hotel, we had to buy the coffee from them. So
so that was going to be expensive ministry.
Yes. So I think we actually moved away from the hotel, not because we outgrew their space. Is our coffee budget couldn't handle it anymore.
But we had to move to the school, to the list.
And when we were in the house, we were known as the cookie church, right? Because Marquita served these great cookies every week. And so that people would say, "Oh, this is the cookie church," and we said, "You can always have more than one cookie. You don't have to have."
That's still true. That's still true today. We're more than one, not too many, because that's greedy, but definitely more than one. So, but yeah. Is there anything else? I mean, obviously, you made reference to the like the core values, or what became the core values. Those 4 words. Is there anything else you can remember you sensed the Lord was showing in those early days for the church? So I know it's a long time ago, so no worries if not. But
I think it was always important that we stayed flexible, and that we didn't say, well, it has to have this structure, it's got to be this, and so now you fit this mold. It was more, we let the Spirit with the people fit the mold. It seemed good to Acts 15. It seemed good to the Holy Spirit in us. And we tried to let everybody be a part of the us, and then listen to because when you're doing different cultures and different languages, and so it's we had to really stretch the us.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, great point. And still totally relevant for an international church, even 20 years on, to have that flexibility, and especially with just the richness and the diversity of people coming from um all over the world. And Tim, you'd be experiencing that now with this new church
Yeah.
plant in Curacao. You're experiencing it all over again. So
I,
yeah.
I remember a Sunday where we prayed for people leaving, and it was like more than 10% of the church was walking out the
Mm,
door.
mm,
And that is just so, it's just gutting.
yeah,
But then the next month, it would come back, new
yeah,
people. But those,
yeah,
I remember that day especially, that 10%, they're always a part of ICL.
yeah,
Even once you're an
yeah.
ICL, are always. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Helen made reference to that point yesterday, actually. Kind of once an
yeah.
ICLer, always an ICLer. And I remember one summer, I can't remember which year it was. We prayed for various people, and virtually all of them were part of the music team. So suddenly there was just this mass exodus of musicians and singers. But grace of God. You
Yep.
come the summer, and after the summer, some more people came, and but it was just like, okay, how's this work? So, but yeah, some
Andy, one of the things that I found interesting is we realized pretty quickly that we had to integrate and assimilate people very quickly. There was no,
Yeah.
you've got to sit 6 months or
yeah,
you've got to sit a year. At ICL, it was very quickly, we're going to get to know you, we're going to get you connected, because if not, you'll be gone by the time we
yeah,
get you
yeah,
engaged. And what some people might see as a huge challenge, actually, I think has become a strength,
mm,
that you can integrate and engage people. And but another dynamic that we didn't plan on this, but I think you see it, is that there was always this Dutch foundation, right? There's
yeah,
folks who, we're here over the long term. We're not going
yeah,
anywhere, and it's that mix of the people coming and going, but
mm,
also
mm,
the folks that, hey, we are here. And I think it's just it's a very unique and beautiful example of
mm,
diversity working together, and people joining together to do something, to allow God to minister in that
yeah,
city
yeah,
in a very unique way.
yeah. Not actually, because it's so much, isn't it? ICL and other international churches. They're international churches. They're not called to be expat churches, which is why you know all those who are Dutch have been part of the church, and now are considered, part of the church now, is so equal, importantly, a part of the church as someone from Costa Rica or the States or China or wherever else. Because yeah, and yeah. Anyway, I'm go careful. I don't get into preaching mode or starting to get into the sermon I'm going to do this coming Sunday on the Celebrate sermon. But even like Revelation 7 and that whole image of the people from all kind of nationalities and tribes and backgrounds all worshiping before Christ together. But I'm going to restrain myself. So yeah. Did anything funny happen along the way that you can repeat? That is. So, um, and if not, I'll get people to ring you up specifically and you can tell them. So, well,
Well, I do have a funny story.
mm,
One time on my son Andrew, he was probably 6 or 7 years old. We were at this point at the list, so we were in the school at this point, and like, it was this huge blessing when we moved from the hotel to the school. They gave us a closet, right? So we had a
mm,
closet where we store all of our stuff, or some of our stuff, and that was a huge blessing to not have to throw it in the van every,
mm,
and load and unload. And so in this closet, we were the cookie church, right? So there's a big box of cookies. And so Job and Mariah, he
mm.
caught Andrew, probably with Michael, but Andrew was in the closet and he was getting into the cookie bin. And Job said, "Hey, you don't need to do that." And Andrew looked at him and says, "Do you know who my dad is?" And Joe, instead of like being like, correcting him, just died laughing, thought that was hilarious. So it encouraged,
It justified multiple cookies because my
yeah,
dad's in the leadership teams. No.
who my dad is. So that was a funny kind of dumb little thing there.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. So I can imagine Yob laughing at that. So, so yeah, no, absolutely. So I can see Tim's brain ticking over, but I don't know if
Yeah,
we dare
I don't know
don't know
why
if
I'm
we dare
reminded.
let him loose. So
I'm reminded. I'm reminded of the time that Andy, you and I were supposed to go and get a Vin. I don't even know if that's still called the wholesale place. And
oh
we were
yeah,
supposed to
Sleek Row, yeah,
Sleek
yeah,
Row,
yeah.
and we were supposed to get. I don't know. We were talking too much, and somebody said get 12, so we ended up buying 12, whatever it was. We bought so much chocolate milk.
It was Chocomel, and we
Yeah,
were supposed to get 10 cartons of Chocomel, and we got 10 pallets of
yeah.
Chocomel. And so ICL for the next 2 years, I think. We would even give it away to people. Oh,
It
welcome
was
to
chocolate
ICL.
milk
We'll give you
everywhere.
some Chocomel. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So note to anybody listening, don't send Tim and I together to do your shopping because it yes, you could end up with more than you were expecting. So yeah, it was a fond memory that. That is
That
definitely a fond
was.
memory. We were definitely talking too much and not
Yeah.
paying attention, but
And I know that when Andy and Helen, when you guys came into the scene, there was just that, you know, are these people to be part of the team? And I just remember we served pizza. We bought some pizza your first night.
yeah, yeah.
Remember what was on it?
Oh, it was supposed to be Hawaiian pizza. So everybody got in their minds what a Hawaiian pizza is. And I think it had banana, and peaches,
Yeah.
and probably something else as well. It was definitely stretching the definition of Hawaiian. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like welcome to the Netherlands.
Like, yeah,
So,
like trying to impress these people. Like, well, we just
well,
we
it
blew it
obviously
there.
didn't put us off. So,
So yeah.
but no. And hey, just to draw to a close, is there anything you'd like to say to the present congregation? So, um,
Yeah, I'll just say that Andy and Helen, we love you so much. You and JJ and Anna, your faithfulness has been just remarkable. You guys are yeah. I remember he probably ICL. He doesn't want me to tell you this, so I know it, but you need to hear it. I remember when they first came and they took JJ. JJ's a little boy, and they took him into the school. And Marquita and I are getting ready to leave, and we're sitting in the car, and there's Andy and Helen standing at the gate. I think we were picking JJ up at something. I don't know. We were there. And I remember looking through the windshield of the car and saying to Marquita, I said, God has just blessed us with these 5 people.
Mhm.
And yeah, the Lord blessed ICL the day you and Helen came through the door, and JJ and
well,
Anna. You guys are a
yeah.
great blessing.
Well,
And I
thank
want
you for
you to
saying
know
that.
that we
I
know
mean,
that. We don't think it, we know it. So,
mm,
and
yeah,
we just love you guys, and ICL, we love you, and we know that God's got great things in store, even
mm,
even greater things than we can imagine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we're just grateful to being part of the journey because it is stepping into that journey. And I remember someone early on saying, "Well, are the core values going to change? What's going to be?" And so we're just stepping into the journey of what the Lord's already doing, and we just want to come alongside that. So it has been a privilege to serve in that, and I just bizarre way. I was washing yesterday or today, whenever the tea towels from yesterday,
Yeah,
because someone needed to get the tea towels, from the kitchen done. But it just made me think about all of the different people who've served in different areas in the life of the church, even over this past 20 years. And I'm so grateful for everyone because yeah, the Lord used you as families and Frank and Josephine to see the church planted, and there's been other people who came along the way, like Mike and Anita serving, and just all the different folks have been in ICL over the years. And yeah, we've had a part to play in that, but just everybody's presently part of the church and just all the different ways people serve. It really is together. It's not about one person or, a particular person getting like, hey, aren't they great? but actually we're in this together. And thankfully, I believe somewhere in the mix, the Lord's involved, which is super helpful. So and totally needed. So yeah, Kendall, any passing
Yeah.
words from you? So
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting for us. You know, we look back at the past and relive these memories. But I guess that my message to the church today is keep going. You know, it's like when in the Lord of the Rings, when Bilbo is handing the book, he said, "There's a few more pages there for you to write something." So I know the pages in the ministry of what ICL is doing is not done, and I just want to encourage you to continue where you're at and what you're doing, and every person you touch, even if it might be someone who comes for just a season, you don't know the impact that that's going to have as they go as they go. And you know, we used to say the sun never sets on ICL, right? There's people who have been a part of ICL literally around the world.
around
And
the world,
so
yeah. Yeah.
so thank you guys for you don't continue something we did, you continue something that God did, a planning of the Lord for the display of his splendor. And so just may God continue to get the glory and meet the needs that you guys have as you continue to reach out and be faithful. So thank you all so much. Blessings.
Yeah. Hey, well, thank you. And yeah, I know it was God involved, but he works through people. So very grateful for both your families and obviously Bowens as well, that you were open to going on that adventure, starting in the house and okay, Lord, let's see what's happened. So 20 years on, we celebrate that. So thank you. So, and I have to say now, Ken, after you said that, I'm contemplating the International Church of Middle Earth. You know, what would that look like? So, so and on that profound thought, I'm going to stop the recording. So, hey, everyone,
Andy,
thanks for
that
watching.
was
I hope, yeah, go for it.
Andy. That's the kind of conversation we're having. We bought 10 pallets of chocolate.
Yeah, precisely. So, hey, everybody, thanks for watching. And Tim, Kendall, thanks so much for joining today. I will stop the recording. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, blessings.